The tale starts with the protagonist Furuya thinking about the horrific tragedy that befell his girlfriend, Sarah, who suffered a fatal fall down a set of stairs. His phone buzzed incessantly with concerned messages from friends, asking after his well-being. But Furuya can hardly bring himself to respond. He had taken it for granted that he would see her every day. Now he feels powerless to be able to do something for her. His hands clutched the bedsheet as though in prayer, pretending not to understand what was happening. Everyone thought he had been absent from school for 4 days because he could not overcome his losses. But what they don't know, what no one could possibly suspect, is that he is the one who killed her. Furuya laughs bitterly to himself, thumping onto his bed with a twisted sense of freedom. Now he's finally free from her claws. He feels a dream has come true. He is finally free to live his life normally again, say whatever he likes, go wherever he wants without being questioned. In short, he can live a normal life now. He had never imagined this would happen to him. Sarah was the most adorable girl in school, epitomizing beauty in every which way, with her big, round eyes matted with long eyelashes and her gentle voice. He is pretty sure she had bewitched not just him, but every boy around her, which is why he never even dared to dream in his wildest imaginations that she would profess love for him. When he discovered that such a great girl was his girlfriend, he felt as if he floated in the air. Till that day. His phone begins ringing, vibrating continuously with messages, asking him to meet her. As they have their face-off, he bursts out yelling that he is tired of her omnipresent surveillance and the fact that she follows him everywhere, even going as far as to implant listening devices in the stores he visits. He can hardly think how she traced him without him noticing. While in a state of utter panic, he remembers that once she had even brandished a knife at him. He asks her what does she even want from him. Sarah bumps into him pleading that she would do anything for him to stay with her, insisting on his not looking for anything else. She asks if she is right in assuming this. She further reveals that she checks her wallet every half hour, which is very synonymous with how she would check on his every move. She had smiled as she recounted how he would freak out if something was amiss, using her knowledge of his fears to manipulate him into doing her bidding. In a furor, he cries out, saying that she broke him down completely, to the point where he completely relied on sleeping pills just to get through the night. He threatened to report her to the police if she didn't stop her obsessive behavior, but she had only tightened her grip on him, swearing that she would never let him go, even in death. In fear, he shoves her away accidentally and she tumbles down the stairs. The sound of her body hitting the ground echoed in his mind, but instead of helping her, he ran. Fortunately for him, no one witnessed the incident. When the police eventually arrived, they concluded that her death was an accident, and her father was left to mourn the tragic loss of his daughter. Now, as Furuya lies in his bed, he reflects on what his life will be like moving forward. He thinks about what to do with his newfound freedom, but realizes that he can't even leave the house without drawing attention. While lost in his imagination, a girl abruptly appears in front of him and asks him out on a date. He was initially unconscious, but as he takes a closer look at her, recognition floods through him, and he gasps in horror. As she grins at him, Furuya's voice shakes as he questions her death. She gives a chilling reply, stating that she did die, and now drifts around without feet. He stares at her in shock, his mind racing to make sense of what he's seeing. He asks her if she's a spirit, and she confirms it, claiming that her love for him is so great that she has returned to be with him. Terrified, he bolts from the room, sprints into the kitchen, and grabs handfuls of salt to hurl at her. She just smiles and tells him it will not work and that he is only making a mess. Furuya yells at her, accusing her of tormenting him even in death. She says that she kind of knows what he feels. He further clarifies that she has destroyed his mental health, forcing him to wake up in anguish each morning. Sarah, under the weight of his fierce words, casts a gloomy frown. She apologizes, saying that she's sorry for everything, but insists that she belongs to him. No matter what he feels, whether he hates her, fears her, or tries to push her away, she will always love him. She proceeds to sit on him now, relating that since physics no longer applied to her, she was going to be in him every instant. Whether it be in the bathroom, the kitchen, or the shower, she will always be there. She further expresses her forgiveness by smiling gently and saying she still loves him despite his dark past, even stating that she doesn't care he's a murderer. Desperate, Furuya begs her to leave him alone, but she only smiles, reminding him that it was his actions that brought them to this point. It wasn't like she wanted to haunt him. She was stuck on this mortal plane, locked away from passing on by her regrets. If he wants her to leave, he will have to rid her of such lingering regrets. Wobbling into disbelief at the terrible dawning realization that he is speaking to a ghost, he asks what he can do to make her disappear. She steps closer, insisting that she wants something from him, since he's the one who murdered her. The least he can do is listen. Still burdened by the trauma of their past, he reaches out to push her away. She laughs, taunting him that he can't touch her now because she's a spirit, and he can't kill her again. If he's going to leave, he must first hear her out. Sarah exclaims how thrilled she is to finally be on a date with him. He takes a deep breath, and as they go out together, she jokingly tells him not to be this quiet. He remarks that it would be pretty weird for him to talk to himself since nobody can see her. She takes him inside a cafe, where she mentions that the shortcakes there are delicious. As she continues to talk, Furuya beings to relax. Initially, he thought she would ask him something sinister, but it turned out to be just a regular date. As he looks at her, she seems to him like any ordinary girl. He enters the cafe and walks to his seat, asking Sarah if the shortcake is what she wanted for her meal. He then inquires if she was capable of eating. She replies that she can't, but asks him to describe how it tastes. He takes a mouthful and states it tastes like just another normal shortcake. She appears shocked, insisting it must not be. She requests that he feed her, saying it might allow her to taste it. He insists it's not possible and that it would make him look strange. But when she mentions it's part of her request, he quickly complies. As she tries to take a bite of the shortcake, it passes through her face, and she offers a sad smile when she realizes it doesn't work. For a moment, he remembers the past. No matter the circumstances, Sarah always wore a cheerful smile. Seeing her sad expression surprised him, as Furuya has never seen her wear that kind of face before. He is reminded that, in the end, Sarah is just another human being, someone who experiences emotions. As they leave the cafe, she smiles brightly, thanking him for their time together. She mentions that she had wanted to bring him here sooner, but they were never able to visit because he never responded to her messages when she was still alive. He apologizes for that, but she waves her hand and tells him it's all over now. He can't quite explain why it feels off, why he struggles to grasp that he's always seen Sarah as a stalker who tracked his every move. Yet, in this moment, he finds her really cute. Panic ensues as he wonders why he feels this way, considering he is the one who killed her. She brings him back to the present, and he jerks. She mentions that she, too, stood out in school, which surprises him. This perspective led her to believe other girls would watch him because of her, something that frightened her. She confesses that she always wished for peaceful days like these and asks for forgiveness for her past behavior. Furuya thinks about this and realizes that it is the first time he has ever heard her speak about how she feels. Slowly, a dreadful clarity comes over him. He never tried to understand her. He only ever thought about protecting himself. Now, he's beginning to see that he may have been wrong, and that he might have overthought everything from the beginning. Cautiously, he asks her if she hates him. She smiles at him and says that if they could keep meeting like this, she wouldn't mind having died. He tries to convince himself that his actions were justified, reasoning that she was a stalker who might have killed him if he made one wrong move. But even that thought fails to bring him comfort. Or at least he wanted to believe they were. As the days go by, Sarah's requests became ordinary, similar to any other couple. For the first time in what seems like an eternity, her behavior shows none of the traits he once labeled as those of a stalker. She is just a sweet and normal girlfriend. The only thing about her now is that she is dead. When he goes back to school, there's a vase of flowers on Sarah's desk, and yet someone has been changing the water every day. No one at school knows about her past actions, and everyone treats her with kindness. He can't understand why he was once afraid of her. Now, she surfaces behind him asking if they should go home. He thinks that maybe his lack of fear comes from knowing she can't hurt him anymore. As they walk toward his house, he asks Sarah what she'd like for her birthday. Surprised, Sarah smiles and says she's simply glad he remembered. When he insists on a gift, she asks him to hold her hand. He hesitantly obliged and raised his hand. This ordinary act is seen by Sarah, and she flashes a smile at that simple moment. He realizes he's made a mistake, leading Furuya to break down in tears as he reflects on the gravity of the situation. Shocked, Sarah asks him what's wrong, but he is consumed by regret. The following day, he skips class and meets Sarah on the school roof, while responding to her questions with monosyllabic answers. When he asks if she can see other spirits, she replies affirmatively, stating that she can see other spirits and occasionally encounters those who have yet to pass on. Furuya suddenly leaps onto the roof fence and begins to climb it. Sarah screams at him to stop, warning him it's too dangerous. Ignoring her, he stands at the edge of the school roof. He finally came to the realization that she had not done anything wrong. It was his own fault for not considering her feelings. He apologizes for not being able to hold hands on her birthday. Sarah looks petrified. She screams at him, saying that none of that matters anymore. But Furuya has reached his limit. He can't live crushed by the weight of murder any longer. He confesses that even after he killed her, he still couldn't sleep without pills. If anything, he needed more. He admits everything was his fault and that he should have listened to her. He reveals that he even felt relief after killing her, and he couldn't live with himself any longer. To him, the only path to self-forgiveness is to make things right. Finally, he admits she was never to blame. He realizes it wasn't her haunting him, it was he who haunted her. He tells her that once he's gone, she can finally be free. Apologizing for ever being her boyfriend, he prepares to jump. Sarah screams for him to stop, but it's too late. Furuya stands amidst the crowd, staring down at his own blood-stained body, astonished at how quickly he crossed over. Sarah appears beside him, tears streaming down her face as she scolds him. Gently, he pats her head, apologizing for making her cry and assuring her that she's free now. There's no reason for her to stay with him any longer. Sarah shouts that he need not feel guilty, for she was happy just being with him, savoring the moments they shared. He pushes on, insisting that it is all right, since this is the only way he could atone for his sins. Sarah's expression shifts, her sadness giving way to a smirk as she tells him he truly is an idiot. She feigns surprise, teasingly asking how he feels now that he's dead, revealing it was all an act. While playfully poking him, she exclaims that she is thrilled to finally be able to touch him, leaving him stunned and demanding an explanation. With a sly smile, she confesses that she had been waiting for his death all along. Since she enjoyed living with him, it meant nothing to her if she could not touch him. So she planned to take him to his death, poured guilt into him until he moved forward to walk to death willingly. Furuya, shocked, realizes she had played him here deliberately. She clarifies that she never once asked him to die. It was his own decision. She ridicules him, saying that he shouted and never murdered her if he couldn't bear the guilt that came with it. As he copes with the horrifying truth, she thanks him for being who he is, noting that now, it is all done. She echoes his words, agreeing everything was his fault and that she did nothing wrong. She laughs, noting how they have come together again, bound to each other in the same realm for all of eternity.